Hello and welcome back to my channel. So today we're going to be discussing something that I do probably between 2 and 3 times a week, just depending on how dirty Gary is. Sometimes I might have to do this a little bit more, sometimes it's only once or twice a week, but the minimum I like to keep it to is about twice a week, and that is bathing your dragon. Not only is this really good for them to just keep clean, they do kind of get a little bit of like a wet dog smell if you leave it too long. Also keeps them nice and hydrated and gets any of that kind of mucky poo off, especially if they're babies and you haven't spotted it straight away. They do tend to kind of walk through it and stuff. So I'm going to show you how I put Gary in the bath. I personally use a sink because it's easier, how to make the water safe, and basically how you do it. Let's go. So this is my sink. As you can see, the water, I never really like to go higher than about here with him. Sometimes I use the bath as well. He's not always brilliantly keen on having a bath, I have to say. Just make sure it's not too hot or not too cold. I like to keep it warm. Think about, you don't want anything that feels like hot to you, but you don't want it kind of tepid either. As you can see here, he may sort of have a little drink and stuff. What I would say is that sometimes the warm water also can kind of promote a little bit of pooing. So if they do poo in the water, I would drain it immediately so they don't get covered in it, and especially if they're going to drink from this, which often they do when they're in here, I would kind of refill it and make it safe again. So the product that I use to kind of make it safe for them to drink and be around in general is this RETISAFE. You can get it from Amazon. I will leave a link down below. Just follow the instructions on the back. For this amount of water, I tend to put maybe about 4 drops in. Just means that he's safe to drink it. It kind of fixes the pH and stuff, and also makes it safe for them to drink by taking out things like chlorine. I would maybe leave him in here for 10 minutes. I don't ever kind of leave the room while he's in here. As far as I'm aware, they don't see like standing water like brilliantly. Also, I just think if there's any risk of your dragon drowning, particularly as obviously a sink or any kind of basin like this is curved, it will be kind of difficult for them to get out if they got into any trouble. So we just kind of leave him in here for 10 minutes or so. I stay really close by. I might encourage him to drink some water by popping a few droplets on his nose. As you can see, he's having a little drink there. And obviously if I see the water is getting too dirty, I will just kind of let it out and then put him back in a fresh lot as well. Something else I like to do is just check his feet and stuff. He's very good with me touching him, kind of, you know, getting in between his toes a little bit. He might have a little bit of a fidget, but generally speaking, if he's got any poo or anything, or like bits of dirt stuck around him, then I kind of just rub it off with my fingers. The other thing that you can do, and I would just be careful about the hardness of brush that you choose, to just use a really soft toothbrush. Something that's really flexible and soft, just to really gently kind of buff away any dirt that's really stuck in there. I do this sometimes because he gets stuff stuck around his feet. He has a real tendency to actually poo and then walk through it. It's just something that he does because he likes to wreak havoc for me. After he's been in for a little while, he's had a good clean, especially if he's starting to kind of get restless like this, then I will pop him out and put him in a towel. So once he is nice and clean, I tend to wrap him in a towel and just kind of dry him off gently. He's quite happy and chilled here anyway. I just like to make sure that he's not going to get cold. I don't like to kind of let him air dry because I feel like he might get a little bit chilly just coming out of the water, just like us when you come out of the bath, sometimes you feel a bit cold. I just like to make sure that he's all snuggled up. As you can see, he's quite a happy bug, and I will just kind of sit with him for a couple of minutes, dry him off, and then I will pop him back in his tank nice and clean so that he can get under that heat lamp again and make sure he's all dry. There are many benefits to bathing your bearded dragon. Obviously the hygiene aspect is really important, but it also helps them to hydrate. I personally don't have any water bowl in the tank because I feel like it has the potential to raise the humidity, and also he's quite a messy dragon, so it would be a pain to kind of keep trying to change it, and I really don't think he would actually drink out of it. I much prefer to make sure he's having a couple of baths a week minimum. It also keeps him nice and clean because, as I mentioned earlier, he tends to walk through his poo, and that is something that you'll find particularly with kind of baby dragons, or if you don't kind of spot it straight away and clean it up, it can be quite messy. Most dragons, from what I can see from my research, do pretty okay with baths anyway. There you go, he's ready to be out of the towel. But don't be alarmed if they scrabble around a bit or blackbeard at you. Gary used to kind of blackbeard and let me know he wasn't so keen on baths when we first started doing it, but obviously the more you do it and the more they feel safe and comfortable in the fact that they're not going to be harmed or anything, the easier it gets. He's not particularly scrabbly now, as you can see. I keep the same towel for Gary just because I think it's more sanitary, even though this does of course go in the wash as well. And the other thing it helps to do is, especially as you don't really want the humidity level too high in their tank, as they are kind of desert creatures that need high temperatures, is that it really helps to kind of get any of their shed off. So Gary is kind of shedding a little bit now. I don't know if you will be able to tell, but you see where the colour change is on his tail kind of here. This stuff hasn't kind of come off yet, it's getting ready to. He has shed quite a few nice big pieces from around his legs and stuff, that's why they're looking a lot paler. He's got a little bit to go on his head and stuff as well. There's really not much to it, just make sure that your water temperature is okay for them, not too cold, not too hot, but warmer than tepid. Make sure that you get them nice and dry afterwards, and I wouldn't let them air dry, particularly if you are in a colder house or a colder environment. And obviously make sure that the water level kind of stays at least minimum kind of below their jawline. I don't really like to go any further than sort of about his shoulder. Of course, there is plenty of advice on bathing your dragon and lots of other videos on YouTube, so if you are struggling, feel free to go and check those out. Always do a little bit of your own research, and if you have any questions, feel free to leave them down below for me. I hope you've enjoyed this video. Me and the big man will see you in the next one. Give this video a thumbs up if you've enjoyed it and found it helpful, and hit that subscribe button if you're not part of our happy little family. We will see you in the next one. Bye!